You're listening to Health Potion, a segment on our gaming podcast where we discuss all things gaming and mental health. Remember, we're not healthcare professionals and do not give professional advice. If anything we discuss helps you consider seeking professional help, please speak with someone that can do so for you safely. Drink responsibly, and remember, you're not alone. Today, we're discussing gaming and socialization and the stigma between the two. Are you social when you're gaming? Hey guys, and welcome to our second episode of the Health Potion segment of the Drunken Guardian Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Danny Martinez. Today, we just have Boneless Bones today. Kevin, what's up, Kevin?
What's going on, guys? Boneless Bones here, also known as Kevin. How you doing?
What's up? So today, I wanted to talk about gaming and how it helps us become a little bit more social. A lot of people that's outside of the gaming industry, a lot of people who don't really understand gaming the way that, I wouldn't say hardcore gamers are, but just gamers in general, they kind of think that you're not a social person because you're a gamer, because you're just sitting on your chair or your couch or whatever it may be, and you're watching TV, you're playing on your game, you're not being social. That's already been proven to not be true. That's not the case. You can actually be very social when it comes to gaming because you're interacting with a lot of people. You're interacting with, granted, of course, if this is a multiplayer game, but if you're using chat, if you're using voice chat, if you're using keyboard chat, anything like that, when you're interacting with people online, you are being social. This is the new norm. This is the new thing that's going on right now. It isn't back in the old days where you had to use a phone or you had to actually call somebody or you had to actually meet somebody in person. This is the way things are done now. This is the way people socialize now, is through other electronic means, and gaming is no different.
Well, for me, it's like I've met my closest, like some of my friends from gaming and Twitch, because Twitch is like I feel like Twitch is a big community that has a lot of people that play video games, and even if you're not into the game, you could be into like the community of people that you're talking to. Like you can meet like amazing people by just like jumping in and like watching a stream and then like talking with the people that are there. And I feel like it for most people it's not true, you know what I mean, that like gaming doesn't make you social, or like
You
it
mean
makes you less,
antisocial?
yeah, and like it makes you less, like, yeah, antisocial. But in my case it was more so I was already antisocial, and then playing video games was more so a reason that I didn't have to talk to people. But now that I'm talking to people more frequently, it's more like I put a facade on, and I don't mean like I'm fake to everybody. It's just I don't know how to actually conversate with people, so I usually just like do with like a character like Nathan Drake, and he would just make like a joke or something, or he'll be like silly and goofy. And I would think like if a character can use like humor to like lessen the tension or like whatever situation's going on, I would
Hmm.
do that. So I don't I don't purposely do it on purpose. I don't do this on purpose to like try to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be like Sonic and I'm gonna be cocky and everything. You know what I mean? It's more like rational, like realistic things that you can do. Like you can make a joke and it just like changes the whole dynamic of the conversation or the mood of the tension in the room. And
Well, I know you're being social now, even more so because of, like, you're so much into fighting games. You do a
yeah,
lot of those tournament stuff now in person, right? Like
yeah,
you're meeting people out there as well, right?
yeah, and it's an experience because I feel like it's like if you ever go to like whatever you're interested, it could be soccer, it can be basketball, it could be like anything. The moment you meet somebody that shares a connection with something that you like cherish, it changes the way you think about the community, or like not even just whatever you cherish so much. Like so it could be like, let's say for wrestling, right? Your favorite wrestler is Stone Cold Steve Austin. I just throwing it out there. That's the only one I know. I don't
Yeah.
really keep up with wrestling now. But it could be Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? And you can meet somebody that's like, oh yeah, you know who else is a good wrestler? The Rock. And then you
Right.
look at it and it's like it goes from like that little wrestler to like the entire roster, and then you start understanding the characters and stuff like that. And that's what I like appreciate about the fighting game community, is that people would tell you a lot of different things about a lot of different characters that you wouldn't think of because you were in your bubble, and it just takes like a couple conversations with different opinions and different perspectives to like make you want to pick up the character or play the game or like even look at things a different way. But again, it only comes if you're willing to like listen and not be like just like tune it out. Like it's always good to listen to what people say, but don't take what they say to heart. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because if you like
Hmm.
what you like, then keep it like that. You don't have to like everything. But it,
Yeah, it's a bit tough, like being
mm-hmm,
social in the gaming community, because
yeah,
like you got to take a lot of what people say with a grain of salt,
mm-hmm,
because a lot of them could be very critical without being, I wouldn't say flexible. I guess just a little bit more open minded to other people's opinions. Like for
mm-hmm,
your own opinion, for example, like let's
mm-hmm,
just say, you love Stone Cold Steve Austin, but I hate the guy. I don't like him. I think he's a useless wrestler, and I criticize them in such a way that if it offends you and you're pissed off,
yeah,
in my advice would just be like, okay, well, you could take that criticism and kind of just move on with it, or you can kind of like get pissed off and then just shun every single person in that community ever again. And that's not the best idea, but I know those kinds of things would happen.
yeah,
Like me, for example, I don't play too many competitive online games, but I do play some online games, and I have met some people online that
mm-hmm,
have been interesting people to talk to and to socialize with.
mm-hmm,
And I think the next step outside of that is something that kind of you've done yourself, is to kind of put yourself out there with actual people
mm-hmm,
that you can talk to about those interests. For example, when I went to college, I joined the video game club because
mm-hmm,
I was amongst other people that enjoyed video games. Maybe not necessarily exactly what I was into, but at least they understood the gaming culture in general, and I can kind of
mm-hmm,
join them and vent or talk about things that we all enjoyed,
mm-hmm.
versus like, you going to a bar and you trying to socialize. But how many people in the bar do you know that game like that? Not many,
Yeah,
unless you get lucky for some
mm-hmm,
reason. So I would think that, like, socializing with video games, you can start off with those baby steps of doing that stuff online and chatting with people, and
mm-hmm,
then you can kind of like branch out and meet more people in person, or
mm-hmm,
be more open about your passion in video games, to
mm-hmm,
kind of like talk. I mean, that's how me and you met, and that's how
yeah,
me, you, and Randy met.
mm-hmm,
Is we started talking about games that we liked and animes that we liked, and it went further than that, and we started to hang out more, and that kind of branched out from that. And that's kind of like how it should happen, just a little bit more organically.
you know what I find funny about that? Uh, it like I was thinking the same thing you were saying, like because I like the baby steps to me is like have you ever looked at and I could say this for anybody listening to this. Have you ever looked at a sports game as an RPG?
No, not at all.
Nah, right? And then you
No.
think about it. So you improve your stack to do better. You increase your stamina, your ball handling. There's games that you can RPGs that you can increase your weapon mastery, your stamina, your damage, all that stuff. Uh, and like when I started looking at it that way, I started looking at games like not the same, but I found common tropes or common things in games that like you
Hmm.
can you can talk to anybody about. And it's like it's just a question. It's like, do you think like like I was asking my brother, I was like, do you think like 2K is an RPG? And he was like, no.
Hmm.
I was like, yeah, you would think that, but you have stats, right? And
Hmm.
then it's like he was like, the way like because you say that, but he was like, nah, but it's a sports game. I was like, I know it's a sports game, but you got to think of it outside of it just being a sports game. And it's like things like questions like that I would ask that it's like between like so I can find some common ground is usually what I go to if I'm talking to somebody about video games. Like
So trying to
uh
understand like a different perspective on it.
yeah,
Okay.
and even if they don't understand it, it's just the fact that you're talking about it and it gets them the idea of thinking about it. Like, is
Yeah.
it so? It's more like to entice them into getting involved in conversation. If they don't like it, they don't like it. But it's just like a good question to like a question just to ask in general.
Mm.
And I feel like the thing with communicating, especially in, like being a gamer and trying to socialize, it's more so like the main goal that you want is not that you love video games. That shouldn't be the main thing. It's to be to find common ground between the individual you're talking to or the individuals you're talking to,
Hmm.
and find some like relatabilities. If they like sports, like if they play video games, like what games do they play? Like if you want to ask what character they play in whatever game they play, why do they play them? And if they're just like, oh yeah, I like them because they go shooty shooty bang bang, or they like run super fast or something like that, and it's just like, oh, that's cool, and like understand the perspective. Don't shun them because like you have more knowledge on the character or whatever, or the game. Just
Yeah.
be like, just look at it as an individual giving you a piece of information, and then you just ask some questions. If you don't know anything about it, then you can ask some questions, and I'm guessing they would be gladly to do.
Yeah, be definitely be curious, just
Yeah,
in an appropriate way, without having to criticize or
yeah,
talk down about a game or a topic or something like that. Like
yeah.
I feel like that's kind of a thing that everyone should kind of look forward to trying to do is looking for that common ground with people. Um, it's I find it not strange because I could understand it also, but I know it must be difficult for a lot of people to just sit there at home and play so many games and be into so many hobbies that other people are interested in, but you're keeping it all to yourself.
Hmm.
You're not trying to relate to anybody, you're not trying to branch out with anybody to express that passion that you have, in a proper way,
Hmm.
because everyone's going to have different opinions about whatever it is that you're passionate about it too. But
Hmm.
what matters is how you accept that or take it
Hmm.
in. But it's almost a bit of a waste for you to be so into a hobby. Waste may be a strong word to use, but it's
It's not beneficial at
you're
all.
not benefiting from taking in all these experiences as a gamer and not
Hmm.
being able to express those with other people and friends and family and all these other people, and enjoy them, and meet new friends like these.
Hmm.
There are people out there that could possibly be your best man at a wedding, or just your best friend in general, and be
Hmm.
there for you when other personal things may happen in your life that you may need
Hmm.
help with, not just talking about gaming.
Hmm.
um yeah, so socializing can come in so many different aspects. There are apps now, not even dating apps, but just regular apps where you can meet gamers, you can meet people with the same interests as you, that you can
Hmm.
use being electronic is the best, if you're more comfortable with that.
Hmm.
And then you can meet in person in the future afterwards if you'd like to. Gaming is You're not being antisocial as a gamer, as long as you're trying your best to kind of socialize, whether it be in a game or outside of a game.
Hmm.
And I think socializing outside of a game would help you greatly.
Hmm.
Not just for, because nobody wants to be alone, but also
Hmm.
because other perspectives help out in your
Yeah,
life. Support always helps you out in your
yeah.
life.
I seen a image or a tweet on Twitter, and it had me thinking about like it just had me thinking about like just in general about support, and it's like you would see a lot of people cheer for your achievements, but they won't. You will see nobody there when you need support. You know what I mean? And that's something that I feel like discourages a lot of people. Like, especially because I'm an avid advocate of like fighting games. I love
Hmm.
them. I love them to death, and I didn't understand. I thought I was the best player till I stepped outside of my bubble and I got my ass beat by like literally people that play fighting games longer than I've been alive. And that perspective wasn't discouraging. It was exciting because you seen that it's like if this is the best I can do, that's probably not even the best they can do. They weren't even trying at that point, and you
Hmm.
wouldn't push them to their limits. So it's always something that I look forward to. Like when I meet new people, if I play a new player, um, I always look forward to playing them and like seeing a different play style
It
because
just makes you play better
yeah, it,
too.
it makes you play better. It's the best way to describe fighting games. It's like being a Saiyan, and every time you lose, you only get stronger.
Hmm.
That's literally what it's.
Goku's way of living.
Yeah, if I want to fight, that's it. And it's not physical fight; it's literally in the game. But you learn so much things, and there's always people that are like, very kind. I'm not gonna say all of them are kind, but there's kind people that I've met in the FGC that like told me things that I've done wrong and like ways I can do better, like with my playstyle. And it helps. Like it helps. Like that bit of support, that little bit of motivation, like that goes a long way. But you will never see that if you're stuck in your own head and think that I don't need to socialize
Hmm.
because it doesn't benefit me. Socializing doesn't have to be like you going out to drink with the boys every so often. It could just be like you talking to like a friend online. It
Yeah.
could be anything, like any outside perspective that's that I would say is positive for what you want to achieve is something that you should look into, not just staying in your bubble and like not trying new things. Like,
Well, that's the other side of the coin as well that we should talk about is you may finally bring yourself to socializing in person or online or on a message board. It doesn't even have to be through a voice or video.
mm-hmm.
You could be on Reddit somewhere,
Yeah,
and you
like
may get
me every day.
into yeah, you may get into some arguments with people because, as we all know, the gaming community is very passionate about what they're interested in, so they're going to
Mm-hmm.
express their opinions whether it piss people off or not.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them wouldn't care how they piss people off, and some of them can be very inappropriate, very wrong, and very surprising.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that also helps you kind of learn to understand those people's perspectives without getting angry and kind of like we talked about in the first episode is pretty much just managing your own emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to run into people in any style that you decide to socialize that are going to piss you off, are going
Mm-hmm.
to upset you, you're going to disagree with, whether it be an understandable disagreement or not.
Mm-hmm.
Danny, for example, Sober Guardian in the regular TDG gaming podcast, like he pisses me off plenty about his opinions about things,
Mm-hmm.
and I've known the guy for 30 years and almost 30 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't let that define what type of person he is. I don't let that ruin our friendship because I've learned a lot from him and he's learned a lot from me, I would think. And it's always interesting to know his perspective on things 'cause it's always different because we clash our heads on things a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to happen a lot, even with complete strangers, perfect strangers.
Mm-hmm.
Just know what you're getting yourself into. Understand that not everyone's going to agree with it, and kind of just take that in as okay. I understand you don't agree with my opinion, or I don't agree with yours. Either don't comment on it, or kind of say it in the most civil way as possible. Because in the end, they're always going to keep their opinion.
Uh-huh.
They're always going to see things their way, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
All you can do is change how you react to that
Yeah.
stuff, like we discussed also in the last episode.
It's I feel like it's always better to have a no man than a yes man because you don't want somebody to have the same mindset at you on everything.
Hmm.
You need some difference. And there's another thing I personally don't like using the word different. I like using the word unique because it feels some people use the word different in like a bad way, and I'm not knocking you for saying that, but it's just
Hmm.
how I always use the word. And you need a unique sense of differing opinion or the opposing opinion, because if you have somebody that agrees with you, then everything that you say is right, essentially, and that you never learn from that.
Yeah.
You need an opposing opinion because to and it's not to argue, it's for argument's sake. It's just to see how structured your opinion is, and it's just not like feelings or biased or whatever. You know, it's just a conversation. It's like now you have to respect and see everything that this character is like can do.
Hmm.
So like don't let somebody else's opinion um I would say negatively affect your opinion. Just make it like it's something that it's like it could either can strengthen or make you think different about it. So I was saying that Goku Black being one of the worst characters in Dragon Ball, that didn't defy the character as a bad character to me. It just made it seem like everybody sees he's bad till you prove that the character is decent or somewhat good in whatever light you want to prove it in. So I
Yeah.
would, yeah, it's like a gun in Destiny being bad till somebody knows how to use it. You know what I mean? Like it's something like that. But guns get like I would say get cycled so frequently that the best gun can be like is objective, right? In Destiny, since there's so many goddamn guns.
Well, there's always a meta with Destiny. Like there's always like guns that are going to be better than others, and that'll stay that way until the next patch shows up and they nerf
Mhm.
those guns, and then new guns will be
Broken.
the new broken guns that everybody plays with. Like there's always that's the way the balance works. Is that the scale is tipped in favor of something else, and then eventually is tipped to something else again, and eventually is tipped to something
It
else again.
is it always the new that gets catered to, or is it like just
No,
specific weapons?
it's just not even specific weapons. Bungie tends to try to balance as much as possible, but they there are some guns that just get uh let's say under the radar or just get neglected, and
Mm,
they end up just being the new meta. So yeah, like the meta is always changing because it'll cater to one thing and then another and then another, and it's different variables as to why the guns will shift
mm,
in favor of the community.
mm,
And then Bungie tries to fix it, to be honest, but
mm,
there's always something.
mm. I just want to ask a question. So how
Mhm.
free, like how I would say quick do they like fix the guns? Is it like every patch, or is it like not every I would say installment, or is it just like every so often, like
They
every
they
week?
always they always tend to patch something at least once a month. I would say at least once a month, and some of them are like minuscule things, and some of
Mm-hmm,
them are massive. It all depends, and
mm,
it's not even just guns that they try to nerf or buff or whatever. They
mm,
also nerf and buff a lot of special powers and grenades and the speed of things and whatnot.
mm,
It all varies. So I mean, but my point with all of that is just that this is actually one of the biggest divisive things about Destiny is
mm,
that a lot of people complain that Destiny is a shitty game because of all the patches they do, of so much balancing that they have to do all the freaking time. And on top of that, they're always changing currencies. They're always adding more currencies. They're always changing people's powers and nerfing certain exotic weapons, like the
mm-hmm,
more powerful weapons and stuff like that.
mm,
Or they're making it easier for you to roll or drop a weapon that's supposed to be rare, but it's not. So there's a lot of criticism towards the game. And I'm always okay with that criticism because the game isn't going to be for everybody.
mm,
And even in the community, it's not like a lot of people are just like fuck this game, and yet they play it every day.
mm.
Um,
Uh,
so like I'm okay with every one of those opinions, and that's kind of those things you're gonna run into every now and then. Well, I mean, back to the social aspect of it though, like I mean, it does help you like join a community pretty much, right?
yeah, it helps. It helped me join a community and also informs me on things about the community, like new tactics and ways to like play a character, or if you want to pick up a new character, it helps you with that as well.
Hmm. Yeah, it's just the same with me and Destiny. Like Destiny was the same way. Like funny enough, like Danny, he's not very social when it comes to online gaming.
Hmm.
Like he'll play with someone online if it's just some random person and he doesn't have to really interact with them, like talking with them or anything. So like when we play Destiny, he kind of relies on me to kind of like talk and socialize
Mm-hmm.
with putting a group together whenever we do like a raid or a dungeon or things like that. Um, but that still helps him along because after we get the group together, that's when he is social. That's when he is talking with people, and we're all having a good time. And at least that's a start. That is something that a start that anybody else can do. Start with some like LFG thing and try to put somebody together to have a good time. You could start a clan or join a clan.
Hmm.
Those are the different ways that people can socialize online now because it's not always about being in person.
Hmm.
um, I mean, what else? What else is there? There's those Reddit things that we talked about.
Yeah,
There's Reddit pages. There's Facebook groups.
yeah.
There's Twitter stuff that like the hashtags and stuff. You can follow those things to find groups of people.
It, it
So many ways.
it's so easy to get into a community now, especially like because of technology. Like you can literally meet anyone anywhere. And it doesn't have to be on just like social media. You can literally, well,
Hmm.
yeah, you can meet them on like a goddamn like a news article, and you can run into them that way, and it can literally turn into somebody that's passionate about gaming just as much as you are.
Yeah.
It's very easy now to meet somebody with technology, like, and meet the right people and socialize. Like, it's so easy. And if you don't feel comfortable, you can always listen to a podcast. See, plug in. You see
Yeah.
how
There you
it came
go.
back?
You can plug in. You can join
Yeah,
us on a podcast, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That is another thing, actually. Yeah. There's Twitch streams, which we do the Twitch stream, every Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern time. And you could join us with that. You don't even have to actually interact with us, but the fact that you're listening and you're in a chat room with other people listening, that's a community right there.
yeah,
And you don't have to necessarily say anything, until you are comfortable to say something,
yeah.
whether it be voice your opinion or ask a question. There are ways you can go about that.
Hmm.
You can just listen to the podcast on audio. You won't be there live, but you can still listening to the podcast, and that there is a sense of community because there are other people listening to that
Yeah.
podcast also. Now, I'm not just talking about ours, but I'm also talking about freaking IGN or Game Scoop or Game Informer or anything else that interests you. Those podcasts are out there as well where you could join, and
Hmm.
and freaking Discord chats. Like, there are
Yeah.
lots of ways you can socialize and still be comfortable. You can still be you. Um, I think the biggest caution is just keep in mind that not everybody's going to agree with you on things, and that is okay.
Hmm.
Take a breath and just realize that
Everyone is new. Everyone is new, unique. That's how you have to
everyone
look
is
at it.
unique. Yeah,
Just look at it that way.
yeah. But in the end, this is a thing again that I want to say every single episode and remind you guys that you're not alone. You're never alone. That includes, your gaming interests. You're not alone. And you can find some people with those same interests as well that you can join in some way, shape, or form.
Be you, be beautiful, and stay powerful. You lovely peeps. That I spell with one P.
PEP.
PEP.
Yeah. Yeah, that was something that was misspelled on our gaming podcast. What was it, last week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I've been doing that for months, so at this point,
Oh man.
they know I'm bad at spelling.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. So say in the words of Boneless Bones, stay beautiful, stay powerful,
Stay
and
unique.
we'll stay unique. And we'll see you guys next week.
Later, guys.
Later.
Bye bye.